Hello, welcome back to another episode of Olio. My name's Elijah, for those of you who don't know, and today we're going to be talking about being burnt out. Now, I always like kind of chatting about something that is relevant in my life on Olio, because it's a good way for me to kind of, deconstruct my life a little bit and just think about things, meditate on things, and then put them out to the world and, kind of turn it into a little bit of a conversation in that way. So being burnt out is kind of where I was last week. This week we're good. We're back to normal. I took I took the necessary measures to kind of bring myself back up to speed. But last week I didn't even have a podcast. I didn't have a lot of things, and I think it's, I'm looking back on it going, why was I so, unproductive last week? Why was I so, down in the dumps, feeling the blues? I don't even know if is that how you would say that? Feeling the blues? I don't know. So I want to dig into that today and kind of reflect on what last week was for me, because there was a lot. So I want to dive into it. Before we do, I want to give a little context, a little updatey date for what's going on my day to day. I'd say the most exciting things has been the weather. You can't see on camera because it's really bright. I mean, you can see that it's bright, but you can't see behind the windows. For those of you watching the live stream, anyways. But it is so very green outside. It is bright and sunny. Right now, it's it's beautiful weather. I have some windows open, so you might hear the sounds of vehicles driving by, because I live on a busy street. My phone says it's 60 degrees outside, which is just perfect. So I have all my windows open. I have some house plants in my house right now. I got a few the other day too. Watered them. They're all happy. I went for a bike ride out in the sun and the weather. Been going on a few runs and things like that, and it's been lovely. So the biggest nice thing has been the weather in my day today. I see a chat from my friend Tomoso saying hello. Hello, my friend. Good to see you. Good to hear from you. So yeah, with that, I want to kind of dive in to the burnout situation, and excuse me. Clearly, I did this. These are like the first words I've sang since I've woken up. So you can hear by the end of this podcast, my voice will be warmed up and I will sound completely different than I do now. But yeah, so last week I didn't have a podcast. I think I still posted a video. I still had a video go up, but that was already finished, because I schedule my videos in advance. So that was already done. But I didn't have a podcast. I didn't stream on Thursday. And I think I was feeling burnt out on, especially the first few days of last week. So I think the main reason that I'm seeing is I didn't, and I remember we actually had an episode of Olio talking about rest, but I don't think I really practiced what I preached in that necessarily, because I found myself, I think, just overdoing it. Things kind of culminated, and I had ended up having a panic attack last week. That was one of the rougher ones I've had in a while. And I think that's, attributed to this burnout for sure. So the first few days of the week I had work, and I worked like a couple long shifts, a couple of doubles. So it's a long day, sometimes up to, I think I was at like 11 and a half hours one day and then 10 hours the next day. So it's like, a lot of hours the few days. And then, the next day I had work as well. And I'm not used to working that much like that. Most of the time my shifts are kind of, spread apart. But just because I was picking up shifts and things like that, I've needed some extra money. So I figured, I'll make it happen. But yeah, it was a lot of work. And then that carrying out of the weekend into starting my week, I was already starting the week on like a really weak point. You know what I mean? Like I was already very tired and exhausted coming in. And Monday was I remember Monday was the first day I didn't have work. It was my day off there. And I was just I was crashed that day. I had to register my car and all this stuff. I did it with my dad, a couple of other things. But I was so out of it. I couldn't believe it. I just wanted to sit in bed and do nothing. But I was still, up and doing things. I need to register my car and whatever. I was still up and around. By the time Tuesday rolled around, which is when I would have been doing my podcast, I would have been, producing a video for next week or preparing for my stream on Thursday. I wasn't doing any of that on that Tuesday. I think that was the day I slept in until 11:30 or noon or something like that. I slept in like crazy on Thursday, which sometimes, don't get me wrong, is great. But this was a not healthy kind of sleep. I think that was night 2. I stayed up very late. I couldn't fall asleep, so my sleep schedule was all messed up. And I slept in super late. And Tuesday, I woke up and I was like, oh my God. There is no way I could get anything done today. And it was I couldn't. It's tough to explain because I couldn't physically bring myself to do anything. And, I'm careful with the word, depressive when I say I was in a depressive spot because that, that word carries a lot of weight and a lot of different meanings. But I think I was there on Tuesday. I really had a hard time just functioning, and doing anything worthwhile. I kept finding that I would end up on my phone and be scrolling through or I watched I don't even know how much YouTube that day, and I would be trying to get up, and then before I would know it, my brain, the brain fog was crazy that day, and I was just on my phone, and I couldn't bring myself to do anything else, which was just crazy. And I haven't had something like that in a while. I was just completely crashed that day. Wednesday, things got better. I turned around and I had work in the evening, so that, whenever I have work, it forces me to get up because it's a thing I have to do whether I want to or, feel like I can or not. I have to do it. So, work got me up on Wednesday evening even. So it was just, I think, a culmination of feeling overwhelmed with everything that was going to happen because I had a busy week, after, busy latter half of the week last week. So I felt like I was feeling overwhelmed and everything like that. The video I made was about my song Alone. Oh, Tomoso says, I absolutely loved the song Alone. Thank you so much, homie. Thank you. My video was about Alone this Wednesday. And I had a great time making that. So that felt good to release that and to have some things happening during the latter half of the week that got me up and feeling good. But it was just the first few days. And I think the reason why is, why I was so down on Tuesday and burnt out was just because, I gave in my head, right? We've been talking about rest, and we did a few podcasts ago, and, I've had that on my mind, trying to manage that and make sure I'm getting the right amount of rest and everything. And in my mind, I was like, okay, well, here's the plan. I can work 20 something hours a few days and then be busy, do this, but it's going to be okay because I'm going to rest on Monday, or I'm going to rest on Tuesday. So I was like, so I can do whatever I want to myself and have overwork myself, yada yada. It doesn't matter because I have a rest on Tuesday and I could just look forward to Tuesday. That was probably what was in my head, being like, oh, well, I have this day, so I could do whatever I want until the rest day. And I think I used to do that a lot during school weeks and everything back when I was in high school. You'd work all week and you'd be like, well, you got Saturday off, so you could, do all the crazy things and you got Saturday. And I think that works for some people where you can, work like crazy and then just have a day that you've got set aside. And, those days are really great to have regardless, I think. But I think additionally to having those days where you're kind of chillax, I need to figure out ways to, give myself space and give myself rest and some leeway every single day. To prevent that feeling of burnout, because sometimes I know, like, I will literally be in the shower at the end of an extremely busy day, like I'll have been working and yada yada whatever. I'll be in the shower and then I'll just be like so overwhelmed, like my head will be spinning because I'm like, oh my god, like what am I doing? Like I'll have all these things going on and I'm just like kind of freaking out a little bit. And I think the more space I give myself and the more rest I give myself, I'll be better off. And I won't have that. Because when I feel well rested and I feel like I'm being active, I don't have those kind of overwhelmed thoughts happening. I don't have that because I feel rested and good and I'm ready to attack things and, and go for it. So this week, so that was last week, the burnout. Burno. Tomoso says Burno. Burnu. Yeah. Burnout is bad. I agree. It's tough to get out of it, until you have that really low day, like my last Tuesday, where it was like crash and burn. And then you come back the next day and like you slowly start to, kind of ramp back up again. But it can be a really bad cycle, right? Where if you're doing that cycle of you hit rock bottom and you're burnt out and then you slowly ramp back up again, and before you know it, you're going to be way up here and then you're going to crash again. And that's not a cycle that, I want to be in. I know none of us want to. I see a message from Ham Senri. Good morning. Good morning, my friend. We had a bonfire last night. Me and Sam and some other friends and some of his family. It was a really good time. We had a great time. We played this game at the end. I don't remember what the game was called, Sam. It was really fun, though. It was like a trivia game with like this little machine that we'd pass around. It was really cool. I don't remember what it was called, but it was fun. I had a great time with that. Catchphrase. Sam said it was called Catchphrase. Thank you. Yeah, that was fun. So basically, I'm trying to just figure out how to incorporate a little bit of rest every single day, a little bit of freedom every day. And again, all of that was last week, and I was in that cycle, I feel like, where I was starting to, ramp back up and go crazy again. After I hit rock bottom on Tuesday, I was like, okay, we're going to, start trucking again. And I realized towards the end of last week and coming into this week, I was like, no, we got to change the approach. I need to look at rest again. I need to maybe go listen to that podcast and remind myself a little bit, of what I told myself that I was going to do, and go recap that and make sure I'm staying with it. So I'm trying to give myself some freedom every single day and allow it to happen. And the past few days, I think it's been working. Even after I worked, I think it was 2 days in a row. It was 2 days in a row again. So where I had 2 doubles at work again. So it was those really long days. Same thing as the last week where I was, doing those and then freaking exhausted, going to bed, and then end up being burnt out the next week. I was kind of nervous because I'm looking, going, okay, have the 2 doubles again. Here we go. And then, everything else that's going to happen this week. So I worked the 2 doubles, but after the doubles, both days, one of the days when I came home, even though I was tired, I was like, let's go for a run. And I say that, and I feel like that makes me sound like I'm trying to flex or something by saying I was going on a run. I'm not. I'm not a fast runner. I'm a very slow runner, and I don't run very far. And I'm really just starting back up this summer, just as of last week. I haven't done it. In 2020, I was talking to my mom. In 2020, I was really good at running because I wasn't doing anything else. I ran a ton. Then last year I did none. And I'm like, okay, Elijah, this year we can strike a happy medium and we can do, we can make some running happen. And I was having those overwhelmed thoughts, coming out of a double, working really long, and I was tired and just like, oh my God, my head was all over the place. And I was like, okay, let's go for a run. Let's clear my head, do something physical that's going to clear my head and make me feel good. And yeah, man, when I came back, I felt great. I was like, wow, who would have thought going outside and doing some sort of physical activity is good for you? Like, really? No way. And yeah, sure enough, it felt great. And I was like, wow, look at that. And then the next day, I think it was another double, and I didn't want to go on a run that day. I forget what I did. I did something. Maybe I played a game I like or listened to music, had some tea, something like that. And I tried to just quiet things down at the end of each day and be like, oh, you're going to be fine. Tomorrow's going to happen, and you'll figure it out when it comes there. You don't need to worry about everything else going on. And since that initial kind of turning point this week, I feel like I've been doing a much better job. Even yesterday was one of those days that would have been, the rest day, right? Where I was saying you do all this stuff and then you have the rest day, which kind of can lead to burnout, I feel like, in my experience. Where that rest day ends up being your crash day. But it ended up working. Like, where I felt yesterday was that day of rest, and I was out doing stuff. I like I said, I went to the bonfire. I did some stuff that morning, met with my parents, all these different things. Went on a bike ride yesterday, and things felt good. On the day of rest, instead of doing nothing and absolutely fermenting, I feel like that makes me feel terrible, and that's how the burnout can really hit you. But if you're keeping a nice balanced schedule, instead of working crazy and then doing nothing, and then working crazy and doing nothing, I think it helps to just be kind of smack dab in the middle all the way through, and give yourself some leeway, right? Some days you do work harder than others, and some days you rest more than others, and that's good. But I think I just need to realize that, like, dude, don't overdo it. don't overdo it. I see a chat from Hayes Mays in the chat. Hello, Hayes. It says, hey, Olio on YouTube. But that's right. Olio is on YouTube. It's being live streamed right now. And recorded for Spotify and all the other podcast platforms too. Love that. Love that. So I think, as we're kind of coming to a close in this conversation, I want to pose a question of what, and you don't have to answer this to me, but definitely I encourage you to think about it. I like to wrap Olio up with a little bit of a question to bring you throughout your day and through your week, even if you want. I want you to think about what works for you in terms of your schedule and your flow, if you will. So for me, I talked about being smack dab in the middle, and you have some days that are more, some days that are less. But for some people, I think, like my mom, I would say, she's really, for her, she can kind of feel burnt out if everything's like over and over and over again the same day. But I think she does really well when she's really productive on a lot of different days and then does have that one day of rest, then she can recharge, and she's okay. Like, she's really good at just going home and resting. And when she rests and she's at home, she can like spend the time, she can spend hours or something in her bed. The one day of the week where she's not multitasking, doing a million things at once, I feel like she can be in her bed, and she literally uses that time so effectively to recharge that all throughout the week she's back up and running, good to go. And she doesn't have that same burnout effect that I did when I was kind of running a similar strategy. So, think about what works for you, and kind of examine how you feel at the end of a day or at the end of a week or even a month. Think about, what days did I feel the best? What was I doing? And should I be doing more of that, less of that, or should I just be doing the same? There's a lot of moving pieces to that, but I encourage you to think about that, and I certainly will. I certainly will be this upcoming week. It's Tuesday, so I still got the majority of the week going. Yesterday and the Sunday and Monday were great, and I'm hoping to carry it through, and through this week and beyond. Man, rest. That is a big deal right there. Rest. How to manage that, and I have a feeling this won't be the last time we talk about this idea. I see a message from Sam that says, I think it also expands beyond a single day, but arranging the flow of a whole week is important, where some days lean on one way and others lean another. Yeah, no, you're right. And that's what I think I'm needing to follow that approach, Sam, of having more days that lean on one another versus just, doing obscene amounts of stuff and then having a one day of nothing, So we'll see how that strategy goes. And again, think about that for yourself too. And if it's nice where you live, try and get some fresh air. Because I'm finding out that that's one of the best things that I can do for myself too. Again, who would have thunk physical activity outside is good for you? Wow. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. Homies, y'all are the best. What's today? Tuesday. Yeah, so tomorrow there's a video coming out that, again, I didn't edit yet, but I'm going to edit it today. It'll be out tomorrow. And depending on my schedule on Thursday, I may have a live stream then as well. So if you're around, come on, swing by and say hello. Outside of that, that is all I've got for you. Thank you once again for tuning in. And guess I'll see you next week on Olio. Peace.